Hey everyone, welcome back to Genai's Tech News, and we've got a packed show for you today. Let's kick things off with some big news out of OpenAI. As reported by both Wired and TechCrunch, Fidji Simo, the woman who held the #2 seat at OpenAI as its CEO of AGI deployment, is stepping down from her full-time role. Simo had originally taken a few weeks of medical leave back in April due to a neuroimmune condition, but that leave ended up stretching much longer than anyone anticipated. She announced on X that she'll be transitioning to a part-time advisory role going forward. Now, the timing here is pretty significant. OpenAI is in the middle of eyeing a potential IPO, and it's also locked in a fierce battle with Anthropic for dominance in the enterprise market. Losing your second-in-command right now is not exactly ideal. Sam Altman and the rest of the leadership team have a real gap to fill, and the industry is watching closely to see who steps into that void. We wish Fidji all the best in her recovery. That's the most important thing here. But there's no question this creates some turbulence at one of the most powerful tech companies on the planet. And staying with OpenAI, because honestly, they had a massive day. TechCrunch is reporting that the company officially launched a brand new family of models headlined by GPT 5.6. The new lineup promises improvements across a wide range of capabilities, and cybersecurity is specifically called out as one of the key areas getting a meaningful upgrade. But here's where it gets interesting for the enterprise world. TechCrunch also reports that OpenAI has confirmed GPT 5.6 as the, quote, preferred model powering Microsoft Copilot 365. Now, this comes right in the middle of swirling rumors about the relationship between OpenAI and Microsoft potentially souring. There's been chatter about a so-called breakup, but this announcement seems to be OpenAI and Microsoft sending a pretty clear message. We're still very much working together, and our AI is sitting right at the heart of your workplace apps. Also worth noting, OpenAI quietly shut down its AI-powered browser called Atlas, which had only launched back in October. According to The Verge, the company confirmed it's sunsetting Atlas and folding some of its best agentic browsing features into the desktop app and a Chrome extension instead. So the browser dream is dead, but the browsing ambitions? Still very much alive. All right, let's talk about a spectacle. Wired has a fantastic deep dive on the United Nations AI for Good Summit, and honestly, the headline kind of says it all: robot dogs, Teslas, and rescue helicopters. The event was a showstopper in terms of raw spectacle. There were live coding sessions, Silicon Valley optimism was on full display, and the demos were genuinely impressive. But underneath all of that excitement, Wired reports that the summit was wrestling with a really urgent and uncomfortable question. Can global governance actually catch up before AI technology races completely beyond anyone's control? That's the tension that defined the whole event. On one side, you have the tech world showcasing all the incredible things AI can do right now. On the other, you have policymakers and international bodies trying to figure out how to write rules for a technology that's evolving faster than any rulebook ever could. There were no clean answers, but the fact that the conversation is happening at this level is significant. Whether words on paper can keep pace with lines of code, that's the trillion-dollar question hanging over all of it. Okay, we need a palate cleanser after all that heavy AI governance talk, and boy, do we have one for you. Wired is reporting that over 1,000 Pokémon GO players absolutely descended on Times Square this week for a surprise 10th anniversary event. The hook? Niantic actually delivered on a promise that was teased all the way back in the original 2016 launch trailer for the game. A Mewtwo raid right in the heart of New York City. Let that sink in for a second. 10 years. Niantic teased this in the original trailer, and players never forgot. And when the event happened, the response was incredible. Hundreds upon hundreds of trainers flooding one of the busiest intersections on the planet, phones out, ready to take down one of the most iconic Pokémon in the franchise. It's one of those rare moments where a video game spills over into the real world in the most joyful way possible. Times Square has seen a lot of wild things, but a spontaneous mob of Pokémon hunters rallying to defeat a legendary psychic cat is a uniquely 2026 kind of beautiful. Happy 10th anniversary, Pokémon GO. You've still got it. Shifting gears to some major manufacturing news. TechCrunch is reporting that India's smartphone production surge is entering a bold new chapter, and this time it's being driven by a joint venture involving Vivo. You might remember that over the past couple of years, Apple's decision to move significant iPhone production to India made global headlines and put a spotlight on the country as a serious manufacturing hub. Well now, TechCrunch suggests that Vivo's joint venture could actually become a template for other Chinese smartphone brands looking to establish a foothold in India. This is a big geopolitical and economic story wrapped inside a tech story. India has been actively courting manufacturers as it looks to grow its role in the global supply chain, and companies are responding. For Chinese brands especially, India represents a massive consumer market and a potential production base. If Vivo's model works, expect to see other major Android players follow the exact same playbook. The era of India as a smartphone manufacturing powerhouse is no longer just about Apple. It's going mainstream. Here's a story that's been getting a lot of attention, and for good reason. TechCrunch reports that two brand-new exchange-traded funds have just launched with a very specific and very deliberate mandate. Exclude any company that is founded, controlled, or led by Elon Musk. That means no Tesla, no SpaceX, no XAI. If Musk has his name on it in any meaningful way, it's out. Now, ETFs that screen for certain values or exclude specific companies aren't entirely new. ESG funds have been doing this for years. But having a fund explicitly and publicly built around one individual's exclusion, that's pretty much unprecedented. It reflects a growing number of investors who want market exposure to the broader tech sector without their money going anywhere near Musk's ecosystem, whether that's for political reasons, governance concerns, or just plain old risk management. It'll be fascinating to watch how these funds perform. Tesla and SpaceX are both massive, influential companies. Cutting them out is a real trade-off. But clearly, there's enough demand that two separate fund managers thought it was worth launching. The Musk Free Portfolio is now officially a product you can buy. This next story is an important one, and it's not flattering for one of the world's biggest tech companies. The Verge is reporting on Microsoft's 2026 sustainability report, and the numbers are rough. According to the report, which was also covered by GeekWire, Microsoft's carbon emissions climbed by a staggering 25% in 2025, totaling 34 million metric tons before what the company calls select interventions. And the reason? Primarily, it's the massive expansion of their AI data center infrastructure. Microsoft had previously committed to being carbon negative by 2030, meaning they plan to remove more carbon than they emit. But the AI boom has thrown a serious wrench into those plans. Building and running the data centers needed to power AI workloads requires enormous amounts of energy, and right now, clean energy sources just aren't scaling fast enough to keep up. This isn't just a Microsoft problem, it's an industry-wide reckoning. The AI revolution has a carbon footprint, and as these models get bigger and more compute-hungry, that footprint is only going to grow. The question of whether tech giants can genuinely square their climate pledges with their AI ambitions is one that's going to define the next decade. And we're saving the most mind-blowing story for last, because this one genuinely feels like science fiction becoming science fact. Ars Technica reports that humanoid robots controlled by surgeons have successfully performed what's being described as a world-first operation on live pigs. This was a preclinical trial specifically designed to test whether humanoid robots, the kind that walk on two legs and have human-like hands, are actually feasible tools in a surgical setting. Think about what that means. These aren't the specialized robotic surgical arms we've seen before, like the Da Vinci system. These are general-purpose humanoid robots, guided by human surgeons, performing complex procedures. The pigs survived. The test was a success. The implications here are enormous. If this technology matures, it could eventually mean that a surgeon in one city could remotely operate a robot in a remote location where no specialist is available. It could mean surgery becomes accessible in places that currently have none. We are early days here, but early days of something potentially transformative. All right, everyone, that is a wrap on today's Genai's Tech News. What a show! From OpenAI leadership drama and GPT 5.6 to robot surgeons and 1,000 Pokémon trainers taking over Times Square. If you learned something today, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. Drop your hottest take in the comments. I want to know, are you buying one of those Musk-free ETFs? I'll see you in the next one.